Guys, a very important news have been discussed today, both in the Hindu and the Indian Express, and we have seen that this particular news is very important because of the term deemed university. UPSC might frame a question on deemed university, but this news is not new. So it was in 2023 already. We have seen the education minister have said that we will have NCERT as a deemed university, right? So what is the present development? The development is this: the Ministry of Education has now formally declared the National Council of Education, Research and Training, that is your NCERT, right, as an institution deemed to be university. Look, it's not deemed university, the correct phrase is deemed to be university under a distinct category. So this is the news. It has been now it has been formally declared or notified. So this is a development, and if there is a development, we know it becomes very important. Now, so with regards to what is the significance of the shift, the significance is this, that now the NCERT's mandate, what was NCERT's mandate previously? That it was primarily dealing with your school curriculum, design of school curriculum. We have seen very recently, it was in the news with the fact that, you know, there were many chapters in history that was omitted, there were many insertions, right? It was in the news, but now NCERT's mandate has been moved beyond school curriculum. It will not just design your history books or social studies books. What they will do is that it will evolve into a research-driven institution with a greater global academic engagement. It was already a research-driven institution because people in NCERTs, they were engaged in research. According to the Ministry of Education, they were already engaged in research. Now what we have to do is that we have to use that research for the benefit of the students, right? So now it has evolved into a research-driven institution with greater global academic engagement, which is a clear signal that now NCERT will have probably they will have an offshore campus, could be, right? Now, the most important thing is that what is this phrase called deemed university or deemed to be university, right? It is granted under Section 3 of the UGC Act of 1956. Now you have to remember one thing. It is not passed by a legislation, right? Unlike your university. It is granted under Section 3 of the UGC Act of 1956. Now guys, tell in the comment, who was the education minister when this particular act was passed? And he was the first education minister, and his tenure ended in 1958. So tell who was the first education minister, and he was credited of leading the way of opening IITs and AIIMS. So like he's that famous. Now so granted under Section 3 of the UGC Act of 1956, this status allows high-performing institutes to exercise powers of a university. Deemed university, don't think that it's lesser of a university. Deemed university, they perform a very specific job. Best example will be what? IISc, Bangalore, right? TIFR, right? Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. These are institutions which do categorical, very specific, very I would say, important researches, right? And hence, they are very categorical and high-performing institutes like IISc and TIFR, right? So, NCERT will be like IISc, TIFR, right? What is so it grants the authority to design and run independent courses and award degree while bringing the institution under regulatory ambit of the University Grants Commission, right? Now, because it has become a deemed university, so what will happen? Because it has become a deemed university, it will be able to independently run its course, probably some course on, let's say, modern Indian history, some course on, let's say, culture. It could be anything, right? And award degrees. Right, only university can award degrees, right? So they can also award degrees. Now NCERT could not award degrees because primarily it was an institution which was designing your syllabi, right? Now it will award degrees, right? Because it comes under the regulatory ambit of whom? It comes under the regulatory ambit of UGC. UGC, remember, UGC is the most important regulatory authority which determines what will be the nature of our higher education. Okay. Now, what happens now? Now, these are very important things you have to remember. What happens now? Academic expansion, NCERT will commence research, doctoral and innovative academic programs, probably somewhere in AI, somewhere in those areas which traditional universities will not engage in, right? regulatory compliance, all programs must conform to UGC norms. There is no exception. You have to listen to UGC, and new off-campus centers will require specific UGC approval. Off-campuses, like for example, we have Delhi University and then we have Sukhdev College, right? So like these are off-campuses. Like if you are opening a new off-campus center, then you have to take the permission of UGC. And then digital framework institution is mandated to implement academic bank credits and upload credit score in the digital locker. So all your information regarding your academic performances will be there in digital locker, from where you can easily access, right? And finally, and this is very important, finally, quality and ranking. So NCERT will now participate in National Institute of Ranking Framework. If you have observed, your colleges, your universities are ranked, right? They are ranked like for example, let's say Miranda House or Lady Shriram. So they are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a pan-India basis. And there are many criteria, though the criteria are a bit faulty, and which the government also agrees, right? The criteria are faulty, but still we have seen that the colleges, the universities, right, they are ranked, and there are different categories. Like for colleges there will be a different category, for universities there will be different categories. So now NCERT has to participate in what? In this particular ranking. So whatever the parameters are, it has to be very acute in observing those parameters and do well, because if they don't do well, what will happen? Their NAC accreditation council, so NAC accreditation council gives A+, B+, A++ to colleges, the quality of the college. If they're not doing this well, then this will suffer. So let's say that some college is like, let's say A, right? And if they do very well, let's say that they perform in all the parameters well, then what happens is that their accreditation goes up, like they become A+ or A++, right? Their accreditation goes up, right? So this accreditation is, now it must seek accreditation from bodies like NAC, means that NAC, NCERT will have to get accredited by this particular council called National Assessment and Accreditation Council, called NAC, and National Board of Accreditation. So this is, I think it was in 1994 if I'm not wrong. This particularly, it does not give accreditation to particular institute or organization. What it does is that it gives accreditations to programs, the technical programs. So for example, in case of engineering, let's say in case of very technical areas, it gives accreditations to that particular program, right? Now, another very important, and UPSC might frame a question and incorrect options from here. The council is strictly barred from engaging in any commercial or profit making. You cannot do that. You cannot charge fees so enormously high that the student cannot pay. You can't do that, right? Okay. Now, let's understand what is the difference between university and deemed to be university. Very simple. And UPSC might frame questions from here. What is the difference? The difference is this, that universities, central or state, for example, Calcutta University is what? It's a state university, but Delhi University is a central university. So they are formed by Act of Parliament or state legislature. JNU, it's a central university. Delhi University is a central university, right? The deemed university, as we discussed previously, Section 3 of UGC Act, you have to do what? You have to find out who was the education minister back then, right? What is the primary focus? Primary focus is general higher education across disciplines. Because in university you will have English literature, you will have psychology, you will have mathematics, you will have philosophy, you will have all kind of subjects. But as I've said, remember TIFR, always remember TIFR, and then or your TISS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, or you have IISc, Indian Institute of Science, I think it's from Bangalore, IISc Bangalore, right? So they are they give high standards, right? Last, fee structure, obviously it will be government aided, but here they have the autonomy to decide the fees. Deemed university will have autonomy to decide the fees. Now, often higher, what is the reason why it is higher? The simple reason is this, that obviously they are going into specialization, so probably they will need labs, they will need a particular setup. For that they might charge a higher fee. Affiliation can have affiliated colleges. For example, Delhi University, you have your Aurobindo College, which comes under Delhi University, and generally independent, there is no affiliated college, because deemed university is single standalone university. They are occupied with their own independent research. Okay guys, thank you.